Hello, my name is Theo and welcome back to the Oasis Music. Today we're not doing an album reaction, but instead an album ranking. I've got a tier list that I've made here in front of me from S to D, and let's quickly go over the tiers just so there's no confusion. S tier is reserved for the classics, no skip albums, the very best of the best. A tier for those that are excellent but just missing that something. B is for albums that are good but in some way flawed. C is for your bog standard average albums. And D, well, let's just say I don't think we'll be needing it today. We're simply gonna go through in chronological order, and no better place to start than Kendrick's debut album, Section 80. My first reaction to Section 80 is actually on this channel, so if you didn't know, go up here to find that video and all the rest of Kendrick Lamar's albums. For a debut album, I think Section 80 is very, very good. It's a consistent album with a lot of high points and a lot of replay value. First, let's talk about my favourite songs. So, Fuck Your Ethnicity, Hold Up, ADHD, Ronald Reagan Era, Keisha's Song, which is my favourite and I'll talk about in more depth in a minute, Rigor Mortis, Absol's Outro, High Power. So many great highs on a debut. And a lot of emotional impact as well. It really felt when I listened to this album for the first time, I think I said it in my reaction, that Kendrick sounded like he just needed to get this album out, preface the whole life of his before Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, before going into the nitty gritty of that story. He needed some understanding to tell the audience where he came from and who he really is and what he's seen. And I mean, Keisha's Song, there's not a better example of it than that. And I really think it's a good indication of just how good Kendrick is going to be in the future with his storytelling. Already at this point, this song blew me away, and like I say, first album. Of course he had Overly Dedicated, but I'm not counting that as an album. But overall, a great concept and a great theme. I mean, there's only a handful of songs that I don't like. No Makeup I picked out in particular on my reaction. I just felt like that song was a bit outdated with some of the effects on the voice of Colin Monroe. But other than that, I don't really have many gripes with this album. Of course, his best was yet to come and this was just the start, but it was such a promising start. And because of that, I think I'm going to put Section 80 in B tier. For most rappers, this would be their best album, but Kendrick isn't most rappers as we know. And he followed it up with Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. My first reaction on this channel and the second Kendrick album I had ever heard after To Pimp A Butterfly. And I personally have so much love for this album. I love the concept of Kendrick taking his mother's van, on the deluxe version as well, the album cover. I think that and his phone calls with his parents throughout is a really nice touch. Kendrick's very good at having some sort of string across all of the songs in his album, and that seems to be the thematic device used here, and it works really well. Going through my favourite songs, I mean, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, what a banger. The Art of Peer Pressure is such a beautiful soundscape created in that song. Money Trees, which is just a massive hit. M.A.A.d City, Swimming Pools, Sing About Me I'm Dying of Thirst, debatably his best ever song, in my opinion. Potentially is. Even Real and Compton, I love them both too. It's a real consistent album that really takes you through Kendrick's highs and his lows, and it's really an album you can just spin at any point and it sounds just as good as the first time you heard it. And you really sympathise to this young Kendrick, and that's due to his words. I mean, the vivid images he creates in songs like Backseat Freestyle, more storytelling in The Art of Peer Pressure until it all accumulates into Swimming Pools and the extract at the end of it where his friend gets shot. And then Sing About Me I'm Dying of Thirst. I mean, so much could be said about this song. I think a whole video could be based around this song and how brilliant and inventive and excellent it is. But none of my words are going to do it justice. I mean, if you're a Kendrick fan, I think we all recognise how good that song is. And for me, it is a no-skip album. I mean, Poetic Justice I wouldn't listen to outside the album. The first song too, but apart from those, it's just a really solid album, and I think, you know, it's up for debate as one of the best rap albums of the 21st century in my opinion. So there'll be no surprise that I'm going to be putting Good Kid, M.A.A.d City in S tier. For me, there is nowhere else it can go. It has a very close connection to my heart, and yeah, just an all-round great rap album. And then on the back of that, to go and produce To Pimp A Butterfly 3 years later. Also remembering, or if you didn't know, Kendrick scrapped a lot of work before To Pimp A Butterfly after his trip to South Africa, which I found out during my research, and it seemed to be a good decision because To Pimp A Butterfly, again, what words can you use to describe it? The audacity to start an album with Wesley's Theory. have King Kunta, These Walls, You or Right. You've got deep songs, you've got bangers, you've got groovy songs, you've just got brilliant songs. Like, you've got everything on this album. More tracks than Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. We got 16 on here, and the thematic device linking all the songs together, of course, is the poem that he's reading to Tupac, which gets revealed in Mortal Man. Even more genius. I remember where I was the first time listening to all the songs and just hearing that poem like play out. It's almost like watching a TV show and like all the bits get pieced together at the end, and it's like that oh moment that really takes your breath away. I will say though that compared to Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, there are some songs on here that I don't really listen to, like You Ain't Gotta Lie, Complexion, Hood Politics, Mama. They're just not songs for me personally, but at the same time I wouldn't skip them listening to the album. In the context of the album, I think it all works together really well, but individually I think less than Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. And the other thing I would say about the Pimp A Butterfly is I think it takes more energy to listen to it. It's quite a deep album, even deeper than Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, which when listening to that I didn't think it was possible. Which isn't necessarily a criticism of it, but I think you have to be in more of a mood for Pimp A Butterfly, or at least in my case, than Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. But overall, culturally, a very important album for Black Americans and just, the world in general. A lot of emotional value out this album, and, the pictures of Uncle Sam, a lot of moving and quite revealing societal issues spoken about throughout the tracks. So for all those reasons and more, Good Kid, M.A.A.d City also earns S tier status. I mean, not as good for me as Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, but still undeniably a banger. But now let's move on to Untitled, Unmastered, a bit of a random release of Untitled songs just before Damn, but I still think it's worth mentioning all the same. And that's because this isn't just throwaway tracks. I mean, listening to all of these makes me wonder how could they have not been used, but I guess at the time, Kendrick just didn't feel they fit his project of Damn or subsequent things that he was working on, but knew that they still deserved to see the world, and I'm so glad that they did. I mean, you can see here from my liked tracks, apart from 2, I've liked them all. They're all great, and despite not having a concept or theme, it still feels very authentically Kendrick, and the album doesn't need to have a concept or theme without feeling important to him, and real emphasis behind his words show through just like any other of his albums. And of course, one of its strong points by not being some thematic album is you can just listen to all of these songs by themselves. It's not really meant to be listened to together, there is nothing connecting them all. Just different thoughts, different part of his lives from 2013 to 2014. Untitled 7 all the way to 2016 when he released the album. But he was obviously sitting on these for a few years, and I wonder if he realised just how good these tracks were. So with that, I'm also going to put it in B tier status with Section 80, and I'm going to put it just slightly ahead of Section 80, just because a bit of time's passed, he's grown his game, he's just had Good Kid, M.A.A.d City and To Pimp A Butterfly, and off the back of that, you can't even call them B-side songs. He's released his album and they are great and underrated gems. Over halfway now, and let's move on to Damn, Kendrick's 2017 album, which of course won the Pulitzer Prize. And yeah, it's an album that I think divides many. When I've seen other people rank Kendrick's albums online and just, generally, it seems like most people have the same sort of order, but Damn seems to always either be at the top or the bottom. Let's go over it now and see where I'm going to put it. First, the concept and theme of it being able to be played backwards I think is a very interesting thought. The first lines being, is it wickedness, is it weakness, you decide. And then having the whole concept being that you can play the album backwards. The collector's edition showcasing that. I think that was a very interesting and new and really cool technique to really maximize track listing in a way that it really matters for the album and its fundamental core. Let's go over some of my favorite songs from the album. So DNA, Element, Feel, Humble, Love Feat Sakari, God, Duckworth. But saying that, there is a lot of songs in here that I really don't have any care for, to be brutally honest. For example, Lust, I don't really connect to that song. I mean, Yaz okay, but same there again. XXX feat U2 is probably my least favourite song on the album. I didn't really understand that feature. I mean, if you compare it to the next album where he had the lead singer of Portishead on it, on Mother I Sober, that felt like the right move, transcending genres and getting somebody who's not typically from the rap world onto a rap song. But U2 in this context just didn't strike a chord with me. But this album, compared to Good Kid, M.A.A.d City and To Pimp A Butterfly, which of course are very strong competitors, did feel a little over the place. Finishing on Duckworth's a great finish. Starting with Blood, the TV excerpt, going into the intense DNA, and carrying on from there. It's just personally an album that never sat fully right with me, unlike some of his other work. And as I say, apart from a few songs which are my favourites on here, I don't really go back to this album as much as some of his others. So with that, I'm not going to be one of the people that say damn, it's his best album. Instead, I'm going to put it in B. I'm going to put it above Section 80, but below Untitled, Unmastered. I think that era of songs, 2012 to 2015, I think that was prime Kendrick, and I think Damn was a little bit of a drop off from that. But I know that's a controversial opinion, so let me know down below if you agree with me, if you think I'm talking absolute nonsense. Have I lost the plot? Just tell me down below. But in the meantime, let's move on. Let's go on to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which of course came many years after Damn. Damn releasing in 2017, and it wasn't until 2022 when Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was released. I'm kind of glad I wasn't a Kendrick fan at the time, because quite a long wait until 2022 where he released this. Not as bad as being a Frank Ocean fan, but still pretty bad. Let's go over some of my favourites. So a nice intro track with United in Grief, N95, which ended up getting used everywhere over the internet after it's released, Die Hard, which I love, Father Time, which I love, Rich Spirit, that I love. A real strong first side of an album with a lot of bangers. And then the second side gets a bit more personal, Count Me Out, which I think is probably in top 10 Kendrick songs for me. Great track. And then the more hard-hitting Anti-Diaries, Mother I Sober, and connecting it all back with Mirror. It's an album that's his longest, and I think it's definitely his most introspective and personal. I felt that during my first reaction, and I definitely still agree with that now. And it felt like a very necessary album for Kendrick. He literally addresses in one of the songs how he cheated on his wife, and she basically forgive him. And like, to be a rapper and to sort of say these things on a song, on an album, as big as he is really committed to becoming a better person, and I think you just have to respect that. Of course, I have to mention We Cry Together, which sort of is similar to For Free from Pimp A Butterfly, and it sort of builds on that idea, and the music video of it as well is very well executed. Another great song that I think really stands out to a lot of people because it sounds like everyday arguments and how they usually end. But yeah, overall, a lot of emotional impact on the second half, a lot of replay value on the first half, and overall I think it's a great and very necessary album for Kendrick. But still, I don't think it met quite the heights of Pimp A Butterfly and Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, but I am going to put it in A tier. It was a long wait since Damn, and I think Kendrick did really well on his return. With Mr. Morale, I wasn't even a rap or Kendrick fan at the time, and I think I still remember it coming out here in the UK, which, shows the impact it had. But finally, we finish off our album ranking with GNX, which thankfully I was around for the release. I was a fan and I reacted to it on this channel when it came out, which was really exciting. I'd listened to all his albums and finally I was there for a Kendrick release, and it didn't disappoint, not in my opinion at least. I mean, so many awesome tracks, Squabble Up, what a groovy song, you just want to move to that. Luther, which was probably my song of 2024, I listened to that on repeat. Man at the Garden. Kendrick's really good at creating albums that have the moments of introspection, the moments of celebration, the moments of love and lust. All in all, it really complements each other and creates a full, well-rounded picture of what a Kendrick album is. And a track that I think will go down as well as one of Kendrick's greats, and that's Reincarnated. What an idea to use a 2-pack track and to reinvent it and spit over it in different people's forms, and then to basically say he is Kendrick Lamar at the end and he was here from God. Like, it was such a powerful track and I was just dumbfounded listening to that. TV Off and Peekaboo as well, having a lot of cultural impact because of the Super Bowl. I remember not really liking Peekaboo after first listen, but after hearing it be used at the Super Bowl and just how hyped that whole event was, I started to fall in love with it. And really looking at the tracks, the only song that never has hit me and I don't listen to is the title track, GNX. Of course, Kendrick had the whole idea on this album of getting local Californian talents, up and coming people onto some of his songs. And I think it worked well in Dodger Blue, but not so much GNX. Of course, Dodie 6 as well, Unknown. I think he had an alright verse on Hey Now, but GNX just isn't it for me, so I think it sort of ruins what otherwise would be a really strong album, but it's just a little tarnish on the shirt. So apart from GNX, yeah, I love this album from front to back. It was just a great casual album to come back to, and I mean, we knew of this whole feud with Drake that he hadn't lost it, but just in case you were forgetting again, he didn't even put songs like Not Like Us on his album. He didn't need to. He's Kendrick Lamar. Anyway, enough arse licking, it's time to put GNX where it belongs, and for me, that is in A tier. Not as good as Mr. Morale for me, but still a very strong album. And there we go, that's my list. Is there anything I want to change? You know what? This might be controversial, but I think I'm going to move up Untitled, Unmastered to A. That is just such a good collection of songs, and to me it is a step above Damn and Section 80, and yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. Might be controversial. I know I've put Damn in B, and I put it as his 6th best album, but that is my personal opinion. Feel free to slate me down below if you agree with something else, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, try and explain to me if it is your favourite or one of your favourites, why it is, because I'm still saying it's a great album here, but just surrounded by even greater company. And there we have it, Kendrick's albums definitively ranked, or at least my order. If you're watching this on the time that I'm uploading it, we are listening to Kanye West albums, but expect more content like this on the side. You know, I've listened to all of Kendrick's albums now, and I feel like I might as well go through, analyze, and just create more content based on it, because he's an artist that I truly love, and I'm very glad that I've discovered with you guys on this channel. Subscribe here, watch another video here, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.